Professor Daya Edirisinghe graduated in 1970 with honors degree in Western philosophy from Vidyodaya University of Ceylon. He got his postgraduate degrees in Seoul University in South Korea. He is an author of a number of books in Sinhala, Korean, and English language on philosophy, logic, scientific methods, Indian philosophy, and Buddhism. He has published more than 20 books and 50 research articles during his 40-year teaching career. Noteworthy among his books are Vidyananda Gnanoya, Darshanika Vimara, and Buddhism. He is also a visiting lecturer at Sri Jayavardhanapura and Pali and Buddhist University and the Colombo University. We call upon Professor Daya Edirisinghe to please come onto the podium and present his speech. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Saiful Islam, Director Marcus Salam, Sri Mufti, President Council of Islamic Theologians of Sri Lanka, MM PhD, Director Jamaya Nalinia Berwala, my friend who recommended my name to this conference, and also my countrymen, my village, same village we are coming from. And Dr. Professor A. Marcus, writer, critic, former professor of physics at Presidency College, Chennai, and all religious dignitaries, all brothers and sisters. I have assigned to give a speech on comparative study between Buddhist philosophy and Prophet Muhammed philosophy. This is a very vague and very broad topic. I don't know whether I can give a substantial speech on this. It's too large, two religions involved, two oceans to cross. So I will try my best to give some idea about Buddhist Islamic view on this. First of all, I must mention this Center for Peace and Harmony, Marcus Salama, is interested on peace. I am at Kalani University. I am the head of the Department of Philosophy. In my department, we teach philosophy, psychology, and peace studies, which is very new to Sri Lanka. Kalani University is the only place recruiting undergraduates to our program, peace and conflict resolution. So therefore, I accepted Mr. Saiful Islam's request to a lecture. So, being a lecturer in peace studies, we have to always talk about Prophet Muhammad's philosophy. So, Prophet Muhammad was born in Mecca around the year 570. It was in about 610 that he came to believe that he was receiving a message from God which he was to convey to his fellow Meccans. These messages or revelations were later collected and formed the Holy Quran. They asserted that God was one, Allah, and that he was both merciful and all-powerful, controlling course of the events. On the last day, he would judge men according to their acts and assign them to heaven or hell. Part of the conduct which he expected of men was generous use of wealth. In the revelation, Muhammad himself was spoken of sometimes as a merely a warner telling of God's punishment for sinners, sometimes as a prophet of messenger or God. Muhammad sincerely believed that these revelations were not his own composition, but were the actual speech of God conveyed to him by an angel. This is still the belief of Muslims. The Meccan merchants were roused to vigorous opposition by the criticism of their practice implied in the Quran. The merchant of Mecca spoke of the all pagan gods, but the Quran came to emphasize that there is only one God, that there is no deity but God. An opposition grew. The Quranic message began to speak of former prophets who had met with the opposition, and of the way in which God had preserved them and their followers and brought disaster and their opponent. The Quran is more concerned with moral guidance than legal instructions and is considered the source book of Islamic principles and values. The Quran is divided into 114 surahs or chapters, which combined contain 6,236 ayat or verses. The chronologically earlier surahs revealed at Mecca are primarily concerned with ethical and spiritual topics. The later Medinian surahs mostly discuss social and moral issues relevant to the Muslim community. The Quran is more concerned with moral guidance than legal instruction and is considered source book of Islamic principles. Islam is the religion articulated by the Quran, a holy religion book, single and incomparable God, the Arabic, Allah. Real meaning of Islam is submission to God. Islam, a Muslim word, very similar, close connected to two words. The word Islam is a verbal noun originated from the triliteral root Islam, derived from Arabic word aslama, which means to accept or submit. That the Islam means acceptance of and submission to God, and believer must demonstrate this by worshipping Him, following Him, command, and avoiding polytheism. Polytheism, what is polytheism? Polytheism is believing many gods. During the period of Prophet Muhammed, there were many group of people believing many gods. So he opposed this. If you go back to the background of Buddhism, when Buddha was born in Nepal 2,550 years ago, there were many small sectors, groups of religions called dittis in India. About 62 schools of thought connected to different gods, different purposes. Like same as the Prophet Muhammad's time. So there were many people had different views, believing gods. So this was the first opposition came from Prophet Muhammad at that time. Polytheism, believing on many gods. So he put his teaching focusing monotheism, one God concept, that is Allah. So this experience, the knowledge he had when he had the contacts with Jewish and also Christians in Saudi Arabia at that time. So he was able to introduce different kind of thought to the whole Arabian Peninsula. the Middle East or the Arab area is the original place for many different religions like Christianity, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, and Islam. Now, Islam is the predominant religion in that region. Now, it has spread from west to Africa, east to India, up to Indonesia. The one-fourth of the world population, nearly 1 billion population, belongs to Islam. So, there's a great impact, socio-political impact on Islam today all over the world. There's a clash between West and the Islamic states today. So I thank these organizers giving an opportunity to put some different opinion to different religious view and also to understand the other religions in this valuable forum. Because I will mention some of the points West has misunderstood about Islam, which is still prevailing in this world. So there is a great service, great duty by the Islam experts to clarify this situation to the whole world. So in Islam, Allah is regarded as very powerful and very peaceful, very original thinker, giving guidance and benefit to the whole world. According to Quran 59 chapter, He is Allah, beside whom there is no other God. He is the sovereign Lord, the Holy One, the giver of peace, the keeper of faith, the guardian, the mighty one, the all-powerful, the most high. Exalted be He above their ideals. He is Allah, the creator, originator, the modeler. His are the gracious names. All that is in heaven and earth give glory to Him. He is the mighty, the wise ones. So many Quran recitals and also quotations, we can identify Him, Allah, as a very powerful and very influential God to the human being. There are 99 names as given to God Allah. He is merciful, compassionate, forgiver, forgiving, clement, generous, affectionate, and kind. There are also for Buddha, there are thousands of names as given by the scholars. Itipiso Bhagava, Arahang, Samma Sambuddho, Vidyacharana, Sampanno, Sugato, Lokavidu, Anuttaro, Purusadhamma Sarati. All these are names like Allah, the most powerful, most knowledgeable, most original. The knowledge we get from Allah as the same as Buddha. That is why when I read this, getting this assignment, I saw this similarity. In Buddhism, we can identify important ethical principles put forth by Lord Buddha. The Majjhima Patipada, the middle path. You do things without going to extremes. middle way, middle path. You don't do. You don't take luxury too much. You don't take food too much. You don't enjoy life too much. Or you don't suffer too much in your life. You do everything in middle way. That is the path you select. Kama Sukallikanu Yoga, that is luxury side. Nattakila Matanu Yoga, this extreme, the harmful side. You select the middle path. That in Buddhism, this is emphasized. And also, we can see in Buddhist teaching, there is Noble Eightfold Path. Arya Ashtangika Marga. Arya Ashtangika. 8 Noble Path. That is Samma Ditti. Right understanding. Everybody must have right understanding about the world. Then the right thought. Samma Sankappa. Then right speech. Samma Vacha. Samma Vacha applicable to everybody. They're not for Muslims, Islam, the Buddhist, Hindu, Christianity. It's applicable to everybody. You talk very, very pleasant words. You speak very useful words, kind words. Metta, Karuna, Mudita. It is true, compassionate, kindness, loving kindness. We have to mix with our words. Then only the people will appreciate our views. Then right action, Samma Kammanta. You do useful activity, useful work, useful industry. Don't do bad things. I think even Prophet Muhammed mentioned about these things. I have come across many recitals about the industry, the karmanta, or the work we have to do. Right livelihood, Samma Ajiva. Then right effort, Samma Vayama. You do very useful exercise. You try good things, not bad things. If you try bad things, you will end up with disaster. Even in Buddhism, even in Islam, this is mentioned. Then right mindfulness, Samma Sati. You have to have good mind. Sati. Sati is mind, concentration. Then Samadhi. All these things mentioned in Buddhism for the development of human mind, human activity, human action. I have come across some of the important teaching in the Quran about what you call great pillars of Islamic teaching. Those pillars I have noted down 5 pillars in Islam it is mentioned. I think everybody knows, but I want to connect it to present day society. This worship of God, Sabhat, then Salah, 5 daily prayers, then Zakat, charity, generosity. Charity, generosity is also in Buddhism, Dana, Dana Paramita. Ramadan, then pilgrimage to Mecca. But in some text, some versions in today, I have read about jihad as a sixth pillar of Islam. This is very misunderstood concept. Actually, even I cannot understand this. This is in the West, it is mentioned as a holy war, fighting with other people. I think after discussing with my Islam friends, they say it is totally misunderstood by the West. So this concept, I think we have to explain more to the Islam believers. Maybe they know, but for other people. So jihad, as mentioned as sixth pillar, means to strive or struggle in the way of God. So I think this concept, we need more clarification to understand the Islam. So also there are many teachings in Islam connected to eating and also the daily behavior. That is one I have noticed is very similar to in Buddhistic teaching, the unlawful intercourse. This is also connected to Panchasila. Also second, false accusation of unlawful intercourse. Of course, this is, we have to discuss openly, Panchasila, 5 precepts, this is mentioned. Everybody have to practice the accepted way of sexual behavior, otherwise it is not acceptable. Also, third teaching on specific crimes mentioned in Islam, consumption of alcohol, which is also belongs to Panchasila in Buddhism. Suramere Majjapuma Dattana Veramani Sikkapadan Samadhyami. The third, the consumption of alcohol, also prohibited in Islam. That is also same in Buddhism. Actually, I must tell you that we Buddhists take more alcohol. I don't take alcohol, but many people take. It is sad to see. That is why I have to mention, I appreciate what Muslim, the Islam clergies is telling through the teaching of Quran to you not to take much alcohol. That's very good, and we accept and we respect that very important teaching mentioned by Prophet Muhammed. And also theft. It is also one of the precepts, Panchasila precepts, theft, stealing. You can't steal. It is happening in Sri Lanka among the Buddhist, among the Islamic people maybe, but it is prohibited, crime. So we have to avoid those things, and also the robbery, theft and robbery also both coming together, and also again coming eating system in Islam. Pork, of course, totally banned. Then about alcohol, also banned. So this, the teaching, I have identified with Buddhistic teaching. So many strong Buddhist people never do these things. At the same time, strong Islamic people also won't do these things. And also, according to the Islam, people's free will is taken into consideration. According to Muslim theologians, although events are preordained, man possesses free will in that he has the faculty to choose between right and wrong, and is thus responsible for his action. People are responsible for their actions because you do something as a human being. You have mind to think. You must see whether it is proper or not proper, good or not good. So that is the teaching we get from both as well as Buddhism and Islam. So there are many important points I can tell you. In Buddhism, people's equality is recognized, and also in Islamic teaching, people's equality is recognized. I can both philosophy of Buddhism and philosophy of Prophet Muhammed emphasize moral and spiritual development of human being in this world. These great traditions has given very important and prominent place for mankind and their progress. Final sermon of Prophet Muhammad says, even as the fingers of the hands are equal, so are human beings equal to one another. No one has any right nor any preference to claim over another. You are brothers. The equality mentioned, emphasized. So that is what the Western people introduce with human rights. Now we are discussing in detail. Buddha introduced human rights 2550 years ago. Prophet Muhammad, how many years? 1400 years ago. But now Western people think this is a new concept. The human rights, equality, brotherhood. So they discuss these things now. Actually, in Islamic jurisprudence, this was discussed. Even in Buddhist social and political philosophy, this was discussed. So that is the most important thing in these two philosophies we can identify. Equality of human beings, equal treatment. In Buddha, in his sermons, and accepted many prostitutes, poor people, servants, kings as his followers. Same to Prophet Muhammad. He didn't discriminate anybody. These are very important teachings we can identify among these two great traditions. Also, according to Pali text, Sutta Nipata, Buddha requested from believers, work for the welfare of others. At the same time, Al-Trimidi, Hadith 1376 says, do not turn away a poor man even if all you can give is half a date. Half a date, a small piece of date can give for a poor man. These are very important quotations from Prophet Muhammad, as same as Buddha. So they have considered the humanity, the human being, as a vital part of their philosophy. So these things we have to take seriously. When we compare these two great systems of thought, we can identify their concern with moral and spiritual development of human being. On the last day, also in Islam, we can identify the generous the contribution or donation to the poor people. In Buddha's word, he recognized giving whatever the possible things to the poor people. So they are equal in their teachings. So these are the factors I have identified among these two great systems of thought. My reading took only 2 weeks duration to understand basic concept of Islam, even though I am familiar with Buddhism. But I have focused more on Islam because this audience of Islam. But the important philosophical concept I have identified in this two great systems is, one is the Prophet Muhammad's philosophy opposing polytheism. That is one. The polytheism, of course, Buddha also opposed this. If you have polytheism, people will fight each other. Who is the best God? Who is the best person? Who is the more useful God? This was happened even in India. Polytheism was prevailing during the Veda period. Professor Marcus knows. So, and the other thing is, people have to do their activity with free will, with freedom of the will, the mind, with decision-making ability. You do bad things, you expect God to take you to some good place? No. You do good things with your the thinking power, mind, then you can go. All the time you do bad things, how can the God can take you to good place? No, impossible. So that is what in Islamic philosophy I have identified the freedom of the will. You think good and you behave according to good and bad. You identify and you differentiate this. So those are the points I can tell you in my speech. And also in Metta Sutra in Buddhism, Buddha says, whatsoever living beings there be, feeble or strong, long, stout or medium, short, small or large, seen or unseen, these dwelling far or near, those who are born and those who are to be born, may all beings without exception be happily minded. Therefore, two great thinkers, Lord Buddha and Prophet Muhammad, considered moral life of human being and generosity, which reduce the tanha or the craving, as vital to create well-behaved society among living creatures. Thank you very much for listening my speech. I am actually a student of Islam. I am not an expert, but through my knowledge of philosophy and little knowledge of Buddhism, I try to give you some kind of new relationship with Buddhism and Islam. I hope you will not misunderstand my speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Daya Edirisinghe, for that very thought-provoking and informative presentation, which was a comparative study between Buddhist philosophy and Prophet Muhammad's philosophy. Just to remind you that this symposium has been organized to go in with the remembrance, the birth anniversary of this great personality, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whose commemoration is being celebrated worldwide during this month of Rabi, according to the Islamic lunar calendar. The month Rabi is the month of spring, where we see the entire the nature blooming up and new sprouts springing up. So it is a season that brings us with a great number of glad tidings, and we think that by studying the personality of Prophet Muhammad, we will be able to gain such inspirations.